Welcome back to the Blitz Bird Podcast. Today we're going to be breaking down all sort of stuff, everything from big time NBA trades all the way to the Super Bowl, which is coming up later on in the week. First things first, we want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to go ahead and get things started off with probably the biggest sports news of the week, and it's not even football, and that is going to be the Lakers trading Anthony Davis for Luka Dončić. What are your thoughts on this one? Even as someone who's not a big basketball guy, this is still crazy news.
Yeah, I'm just shocked in total with that trade. I do kind of think that there's something behind the curtain that they're not telling us. Luka, all-star elite player, top 5 player in the league. He led the league in scoring last year. And for him just to get traded away for a very old and, Anthony Davis is literally made out of porcelain glass. He is hurt constantly. He's never on the floor healthy for more than just a couple games. So to me, it just shocks me. I think there is something that the NBA is not telling us with him going to LA. That's the biggest market there is in basketball. And to pair up with LeBron, I just think it's kind of fishy.
Yeah, no, it's the most shocking trade that I may have ever been alive for. The last one of this magnitude that I can really remember, especially with basketball, was Kevin Durant to the Warriors. Everybody was like, holy crap. This is bigger than that. Like you said, Luka's a top 5 player in the NBA. He's very young. He has his whole career ahead of him. And then they just go out and basically give him away for an aging... Don't get me wrong, Anthony Davis is a stud. But, he's out of his prime, and he's getting further and further away from his prime.
Yeah.
So, with the Mavs, you make the finals last year with this guy. He's the backbone of your team. He's the superstar in the organization. It's absolutely baffling. There's other pieces involved in the draft, but nothing to make it, make any sense. I've seen multiple reports that he weighs like 270 pounds. Yeah. He's got a bad work ethic. Some reports saying he wasn't going to sign it back with Dallas, but by everything that I've seen from, credible sources and Luka himself, he didn't want to get traded. He didn't ask for this. Anthony Davis didn't ask to get traded. This was an absolutely insane move by the Mavs GM. That dude probably just made a decision that's going to cost his job, I would say, within the next 2 to 3 years. Because unless the Mavs find a way to win the finals, this is maybe the worst trade of all time. It's insanity.
Yeah, it's really just mind-boggling. I've read reports where Mark Cuban didn't even know that Luka was going to get traded. It's almost like this happened overnight, and it was just just a very quick, not really thought over trade. And yeah, there's reports that his weight is almost up to 270, which is almost hard to believe.
Yeah,
but
he doesn't look that big.
No, granted, he is 6'3", 6'4". He's a pretty big.
He's a big dude. He's a big 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, he's a really big point guard, but he's pairing up with LeBron. That's
gonna be scary.
That's gonna drive the ratings up, and that's why I think that's kind of what the motive behind that whole thing was, and that's what I think the NBA insiders aren't really telling us.
Yeah, they're you never know with the NBA. It could be scripted, but Adam Silver might have been like, hey, we need something big to happen. And there's definitely something behind the scenes that we don't know about. But all in all, just a crazy trade. But yeah, do you have anything to comment on that? Or are you ready to move on to the big NFL news of the day?
Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot to add. But Myles Garrett requested a trade from the Browns. He wants out. Can't say I blame the guy.
I would have wanted out a long time ago.
Yeah, the Browns organization is just it's terrible. It's the bottom 2 in the league. I would put the Jets in front of them, but there are a lot of speculations on where he is going to land. I've seen, a lot of teams be interested in him and who wouldn't be. The top 3 landing spots I have for him are number 1, the Lions. You pair him up with Hutchinson. Garrett's an aging vet. He would be kind of the vocal leader on that defense, and we saw how the defense kind of fell apart last year due to injuries. So having a veteran in the locker room like that, it's definitely going to be a good thing for them. Then I have the Commanders. Their defensive line wasn't very good, but they were just really just missing a star edge rusher. Their secondary, really young, really talented. Linebacker core, same thing. D-line, kind of lackluster. We saw that in the NFC Championship game, letting Saquon just run all over them. But that's why I have the Commanders. And then third, I have the Rams. The Rams have a very, very young defense, and especially their defensive line. They have, Jared Verse, rookie. Fisk, rookie. You pair up Myles Garrett with those young kids, I mean, there's no telling what he's going to be able to teach them and how he's going to be able to progress them as players. And I think that's ultimately a really good fit for him.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all three of those landing spots. These are the most likely landing spots just in total. In general, you got the Lions, Packers, Falcons, Commanders, Rams, Bills, Chargers. Those are kind of everywhere I've seen all the sources saying these are the teams to look out for. Out of those three, of course, I'm going to say my Atlanta Falcons. If this move is made for the Falcons, this transforms our defense, which is abysmal. But 100%. To have a guy like Garrett come in, it's going to be huge. Not only will his presence on the field, making plays, be a big deal, but his presence in the locker room, teaching the younger guys, teaching the rookies. We had, I think, 2 top 3-round picks last year on the defensive line. If he can coach those guys up, kind of show some moves with them, whatever it would be, it would just be huge for the Falcons franchise. So, I mean, that's my number one hope is the Falcons get them, which they're on the list, so it's not, impossible. But knowing the Atlanta Falcons, they're not going to do anything.
They won't even try to get them.
No, they're not going to give up the trades or the picks or anything like that. But, my top 3, Falcons are the first one. And then I agree with you on the Commanders. I think, like you said, they are kind of just, one defensive piece away, especially on the edge there, to really becoming an elite team. And, that would be an appealing spot for me if I'm Myles Garrett. I mean, the Commanders went deep last year with a kind of mediocre team. Imagine you add him. Yeah, imagine you add Myles Garrett and maybe a couple other guys. That team could be filthy. And then the very last spot, I like the Rams and the Lions. I feel like those are 2 good spots for them as well. But I got to say the Bills. I mean, the Bills are in win-now mode. I feel like they're just missing a few pieces, like I said on last week's show. And I think Myles Garrett will be a huge piece. You pair him up with Von Miller, and I know they have another younger edge. Can't remember his name, but he's pretty good. But, I mean, you throw in Myles Garrett into that room and on that team, that's disgusting. So I think those are the ones, in my opinion, to look out for. But whoever gets this guy is getting a top, probably 2, if not top 3 defensive player in the entire NFL. So, yeah, he is worth kind of whatever you want to give up. You're going to probably have to give up multiple first-round picks for him, a couple players. Whoever goes out and gets him is going to give up a haul. So they better be in kind of a win-now mode, not looking for the future. Very next thing we're going to talk about is coaching news. The Saints still don't have a head coach. It's looking like Kellen Moore's definitely in the driver's seat for that position. I think they're probably just waiting until after the Super Bowl to get him signed and down to New Orleans. Do you like that hire for the Saints? You think that'd be a good one?
I kind of thought they would go after Mike McCarthy a little bit harder. They didn't. They didn't want him. So Kellen Moore is pretty much a lock at this point for the head coach. If they were to hire a head coach and it not be Kellen Moore, it would already have been done. So yeah. Kellen Moore is really the only guy left worth the salt.
Well, so. him and Mike McCarthy, but I've seen Mike McCarthy has said that he wants to sit out for a year. Yeah. So, but yeah, I agree. I think he's a good name. I mean, he's one heck of an offensive coordinator, and
he's proven himself.
So yeah.
That's kind of what the Saints need. They need a leader, somebody who has that experience, because the last couple of years they've been dealing with Dennis Allen, and he's not a good head coach, great defensive coordinator. So we're gonna see if Kellen Moore can be a great head coach. We know he's a great OC in Philadelphia, but he's got a lot to prove to bring this Saints team to a different level, because that roster is just abysmal.
Yeah, and they're in cap space hell. It's not a good situation to go to, but maybe Kellen can figure it out. I definitely like the hire. Very next thing here, this is just kind of interesting because it ties together with college football. Pete Carroll, who's now the head coach for the Raiders, has hired Ohio State's offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, who that dude has bounced around the league and in college all over the place. He was at Ohio State last year. won the national championship with them, had a very good year as an offensive coordinator. He is now the Raiders' offensive coordinator. And with that happening, Ohio State has now lost both of their coordinators from last year. Their defensive coordinator has moved over to Penn State, where they paid him $1 bajillion. And then you got Chip going back to the league to coach with his old friend Pete. So it's interesting there because, the Raiders go out and get an offensive coordinator who's proven himself to be pretty good. And Ohio State, who just won a natty, has lost both of their coordinators, and now they're kind of scrambling around like, oh, crap, what are we going to do? Do you think Ohio State's going to figure it out? Do you think Ryan Day's going to get it right? And what do you think of Chip Kelly to the Raiders?
Yeah, Ohio State's going to get it right. I mean, you put a monkey at OC there, it's going to work out.
They got anything they need. It's
the most talented offensive roster we've seen in recent memory that
Probably
I know
ever.
of.
Probably ever, yeah.
We've seen Chip Kelly in the NFL. It didn't really work out too well for him, and I don't think it's going to work out well for the Raiders. They don't have a quarterback. They really don't have a wide receiver one. They have Brock Bowers. The O-line is bad. Pete Carroll's a good head coach. I'll give him that. So for him to succeed, I can't see him succeeding a whole lot this first year unless they go out, they trade up and get a quarterback. But, I just don't know where you go if you're the Raiders, and especially Chip Kelly. I just don't know what to expect with him. Like I said, he's been in the NFL before. There's a reason he wasn't in the NFL, and now he's back. So we'll just see what happens. I really have no expectation for him at all.
Yeah, no, me neither. We'll talk more about the Raiders, kind of like how to rebuild there. But honestly, you're not in a position right now to draft a quarterback. I would probably go get somebody, maybe even bring Derek Carr back in free agency would not be a bad idea. Just like a one-year bridge QB and kind of go from there and just use your draft to get position players and linemen this year. But we'll discuss more on stuff like that later on in the offseason. So let's go ahead and move on to kind of the elephant in the room. I mean, we're right here at the end of the football season for the year. Super Bowl Sunday is coming up this Sunday. Super Bowl 59. We got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles are looking for their second all-time Super Bowl win, and the Chiefs are looking for a three-peat, which has never been done before. So give me what you got. What do you got on the game? We talked a little bit about it in the past. These are clearly two very, very good teams. What are you looking for here? You think it's going to be a good game? What you got?
Yeah, I mean, this is, to me, these are the two best teams by far. I know they're both in the Super Bowl. They're in the Super Bowl for a reason. The Eagles ran through the Commanders. I mean, they beat them by 30. And, the Chiefs won by 3 against the Bills, but that's always a really close game. I'm not going to discredit
to be expected, yeah.
I'm not going to discredit anything for the Chiefs. I tend to lean towards the Eagles in this one based on matchups. I think their overall team is better. The only thing that concerns me with them is their coaching. They are definitely at a disadvantage coaching against Andy Reid. Everybody is.
Yeah.
So for that, it's kind of up in the air. It's hard to pick against Mahomes, but I lean towards Eagles simply because of the matchups. Their defense is the best in the league, and they have Saquon Barkley. So,
yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. The Eagles are a tough team to beat, but if anybody can beat them, it's going to be the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Some of my kind of keys of the game for the Chiefs to win, which I think they can and will do, I think the Chiefs will win. I mean, it's inevitable. You got Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. They're probably going to get married, probably propose after the game. So just going to be a bunch of...
I've seen all the memes.
A bunch of hogwash.
So
It'll be
bad.
terrible. But hopefully that doesn't happen, but I think it will. I think it's all about media and publicity these days. It's not about smash mouth football like it used to be. But my keys to the game, number one thing for the Chiefs, you have to neutralize Saquon Barkley. You have to find a way, not even neutralize at best. Try to shut him down. If you can take away the Eagles' run game, then you can compete with them. Because don't get me wrong, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, even Jalen Hurts, that's a stud. That's a stud room right there. But Saquon Barkley is what kind of brings that team all together. He's the difference between what they were last year and falling apart at the end of the season and what they've been this year and bringing it all together at the end of the season. He's the difference maker, and if you're a difference maker, you got to find a way, if you're the opposing team, to take them out of the game. My second key would be to just let Patrick Mahomes be Patrick Mahomes. Don't go out there expect him to do something that he doesn't or hasn't done before. and I fully expect Andy Reid to do this, just let Patrick Mahomes do his craziness. Let him go out there and sling it around. Let him find wide open Travis Kelce over the middle. Let him take a deep ball. They don't do that much anymore, but if that's what he wants to do, whatever Patrick Mahomes feels like, he needs to do to win, just let him do it. Let him carve apart the defense. Everything like that. And then the very last one is get your pass rushers going. Get Chris Jones going up the middle. Get Karlaftis going off the edge. If they can apply pressure onto Jalen Hurts along with trying to stop the run, that's going to be a game changer. Because Hurts, I don't think he's that great. He's good, but he's no Mahomes or anything. So I think if you put pressure on him, that's going to be a game changer. That's going to cause for some costly turnovers, which could be big time swinging factors in the game. So those are kind of my three things. Like I said, I think the Chiefs will win. I think it's going to be a very good game. Definitely pulling for the Eagles. But I mean, what more can you ask for? It's a heck of a game. So
yeah, the keys for the Eagles here, like you said, it kind of counters exactly what you said. Get Saquon going early. Yeah. Get him going first drive early.
Get him another 60-yard run.
Yeah, just first play.
Yeah, gone. Just like last game.
And then it would be to neutralize Mahomes from being able to scramble out of the pocket. Most of these highlight plays you see, most of these touchdown plays you see, is whenever Mahomes gets out of the pocket, he's scrambling, and then his wide receivers just find a spot and sit.
Yeah.
And mainly that's what Kelce's been hit for him his whole career. My third thing would be take Kelce out of the game completely. You cannot let Kelce get going. I would man him up the entire game. I would almost bracket him because outside of him, the Chiefs really don't have another X factor offensive player. You got Kelce and Mahomes, and that's really what it's been this entire run for the Chiefs these past 5-6 years. Yeah. So I think that's really what it's going to boil down to if they can get Saquon going early, neutralize Mahomes scrambling out of the pocket, and taking Kelce out of the game.
Yeah, I really like what you said there with kind of manning up Kelce. I think the Eagles have arguably the best player in the league to do that in Zach Bond. I mean, he's a freakishly athletic linebacker. I feel like he would match up really well with Kelce. So, I mean, I would not be surprised if we see that implemented in the Eagles' game plan. Kind of, just put a guy on him the whole time, even if it might allow for a couple more yards in the run game. If you can take out Travis Kelce, the Bills kind of took him out last week. Yeah. It was a big difference. That the Chiefs' offense was nowhere near what it had been in the playoffs. So I think that's definitely a good point. And, again, like same thing with neutralizing Saquon, it's a lot easier said than done to kind of get playoff Travis Kelce under control.
Yeah. You got anything else you want to add before we move on to the next segment?
I don't think so. I'm just very excited for the game, and I'm very excited for...
Here's another thing. I'm kind of tired of people being like, oh, I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs and the Eagles always kind of be in the mix. Well, if you're tired of that, stop watching football or beat them.
Yeah.
These are the two best teams for a reason. They have, Mahomes. All you need is Mahomes, and then that Eagles team is loaded from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. There's not a weak spot on that defense or offense. But with that being said, we are going to move on to our final segment. And that is the top, we're going to do a little draft of the top 3 Super Bowl foods you would eat while watching the big game. So I'm going to go first, then Wesley's going to go. So for my first pick, I'm going to pick buffalo chicken dip. It is a staple. It's a staple at every party. If you go to a Super Bowl party and you don't see buffalo chicken dip, leave. Because it is so good. It's kind of the glue of all the snacks. Everybody seems to like it. So that's why I'm taking it.
Yeah, buffalo chicken dip was in my top 10. It was not my top 3 though. So I'm more than happy to let you have that pick. I can't believe you didn't say what is, in my opinion, the undisputable number 1, wings. If you're watching any kind of game, you have to have chicken wings.
That's a good one.
What's a Super Bowl or what's a...
That was going to be my second pick.
Yeah,
I feel
like you have to go wings. Wings are a staple. When you think of sports food, you think of I'll just say the one, but you think of wings. That's kind of your number 1 thing you really think about. So for me, I'm definitely going wings. I like mine mild or garlic parm.
That's the best thing about them.
There's so many different options.
Yeah, so much variety. You know,
Exactly.
you got drums and flats, you got boneless, you got bone-in.
Yeah.
It's versatile.
Yeah. Which if you eat boneless, you're a female, but
Yeah,
that's for another time.
They're just chicken nuggets.
What you got for your second pick?
I'm kind of twisted between two, but I'm going to go pizza.
Okay.
Right now, I've got a theme. I'm sticking with the classics. You're going to see buffalo chicken dip. You're going to see pizza at every Super Bowl party.
That's
it's good.
Not ridiculous. Yeah.
The same thing with the wings. So much variety. So many different styles. You got New York. You got Chicago. Deep dish, thin crust, all that. And so for that reason, I'm taking pizza.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to kind of go with a simple one here. But, I mean, if you think of not just a sports party, any party in general, they're going to have some form of chips and some form of dip. Whether that be, you know, the Ruffles with the sour cream and onion dip, or whether that be chips and salsa, chips and guac, whatever. I feel like a party you have to have, for me personally, would be tortilla chips and salsa. I mean, I could eat 100 million of them things. But at a Super Bowl party especially, you know, you're sitting there watching the game. You don't want to have, you know, a whole plate of food, but you got a bowl of chips in front of you and a bowl of salsa. I mean, it's just easy. You can go through a whole thing of those. So, you know, that's probably definitely my number two.
Yeah. So for my third one, this is kind of not, I don't think it's very, very common. You may disagree, but it's got to be very specific too. It is a hot pretzel with beer cheese.
Dude, I swear I have that on my list. That's my number 4. They're so good.
If you don't have the beer cheese, don't even bring pretzels.
Yeah, if you put mustard on your pretzel, you're a freak.
No, it's got to be beer cheese. It takes it. Pretzels right here. Beer cheese brings it up to right here.
It does.
It's
a game changer. It's the Saquon Barkley of dipping sauces for pretzels.
Yeah.
It elevates the entire performance of the pretzel. It really does.
It's on a world of its own. I can't really compare anything to it. I love it.
It is, yeah. But that was my number 4. For this last one, I'm torn. I mean, you've picked some good ones. You know, I got some on the list. Pretty much everything that you have is on there. For my 3 or 4 spot, it's a toss up between two things. I'll tell you both of them, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to go with. The first one is ham and cheese sliders that you kind of like, you know, you put them in the oven and you put the mustard on them. Those are filthy. And then the second one is stuffed jalapeno poppers.
Yeah, that's
probably what I'm gonna. That's what I'm gonna have to go with, the jalapeno poppers. Those things you put some bacon, cream cheese. Oh my god, heat! I mean, just incredible. That's probably gonna be my number 3. That's not as common of a thing. You know, I don't know if I've ever been to a Super Bowl party that had those. Maybe 1 or 2, but that for me is a game changer when it comes to food, you know, anywhere, not even just a sporting event. So that's definitely going to be my number 3. Ham and cheese sliders are just narrowly out of it. But yeah, I'm going to go with the jalapeno poppers to round it out.
Yeah, last week while watching the NFC Championship game, we made some, took them out of the oven, had a whole plate in front of me, was just going to town on them. I was holding my hand out, probably, you know, a foot away from me, and my dog just comes up, swipes it from me, eats the whole thing.
Did he like it?
Yeah, he loved
make
it.
A face?
No, he loved it.
I can't blame him. I love him too. So.
But yeah, no, they weren't very hot. But I was kind of freaking out because I was like, if I come home tomorrow and he's had an accident, it's all my fault.
Yeah.
But that was pretty funny. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for the Super Bowl episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share with a friend. Go check out our Instagram. Go check out our Twitter. All that's at Blitz Bird Podcast. It's all the same. Go check it out. Share it with a friend. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.